Hey guys, we are going to do a fully updated 2024 replacing the suspension rods on your standard Whirlpool-style washing machine. Now this pretty much goes for any of them with the LEDs and the start button. It's got the center agitator. Some of them don't though, some of them just have a wash plate. Pretty much all the rules are the same. You would find your correct part though by taking your, let me flip this camera around, by taking your model number right here, and you can go to any website like AppliancePartsPros.com or Sears Parts Direct or Part Select, and typing in the model number, then it's going to pull up the washer and all the associated parts. Then you just track down the shocks. Now that's the best place, either of those websites, a legit website that sells OEM quality parts. Amazon is hit or miss. Now I've gotten pretty good results from the standard kits that come for these basic machines from Amazon still. There's two really basic kits, and they end in 4.8 and 4.5, and really the only difference is the length. The shocks that you absolutely cannot buy from Amazon right now are the Samsung shocks. Samsung and LG. You cannot get those off of Amazon. They are all bad right out of the box. The reviews reflect this over the last couple years. It used to be in 2019, 2020. They were basically the same, but now for whatever reason, I will get them. I went through like 7 different sellers, got them, pulled them out of the box, installed them, and they were bad, immediately bad. And I went through that 7 times before I gave up and said forget it. Got a set from AppliancePartsPros.com, and boom, they work perfect, absolutely no issues. Of course, they have warranty, guarantee, total refund policy, and all that. Amazon, you can send stuff back too, but I mean, you're almost guaranteed with Samsung or LG shocks to have to send them back. So I wouldn't even mess with that. That's an update on. I have a video also doing this on a Samsung a few years ago. But anyway, these kits here, the 48 and 45, I'll probably clip in a picture of those 2 kits on Amazon. I'll put the links in the description. I don't make any money recommending any websites. I don't even link my Amazon stuff. I just don't really have time for all that. The purpose of these videos is to save you guys some time and some money. But we're going to get into this kit right here because there's some questions on these 2 basic kits. And I'm going to do a video on the 45 set next. One of them has an additional spacing issue where the new shocks seem to be too long. However, that's because people aren't replacing the little cups that go up here. So I'm going to show that. I don't know if that's this kit or not. I'll get into it here in a second. But first, I'm going to show you from scratch. I haven't done anything with this machine yet. But here's a couple of things that you need to know. One, if you're a reseller, someone buying machines to fix them and resell them, the shocks issue is not really a big issue. However, sometimes it goes hand in hand that if the shocks are bad, the bearings are bad, and how you check is completely empty. If you can spin this as fast as you can, and it is dead silent, then that's a good sign that the bearings are okay. So if I were to spin this and you heard a dragging noise like where it literally sounds like something's down in there being drug across the bottom, that's bad bearings. But the other thing you want to check though, just to be sure, like I said, if you're a reseller and you want to make sure you don't get into a set with bad bearings, is you can tilt the machine back and look for any type of water damage. And so what you would see, let me just tilt this back real quick and show you. What you look for is you come down here and you'd want to make sure you didn't see any water spots along the sides, on the outside, right up in here. Because when these go bad and they start to leak, water will fling out and hit the side. So if you look under here and this is like a rust color and you have water spots flung out all over the side, don't get it. Don't get it to flip. Bearings are bad. You don't want to mess with that. Okay, but if it's super clean like this one, you're good to go. And we did the spin test and it was good. So anyway, back to the shocks now. The shock issue, how you would know the shocks are bad, and I think I showed this off in my other video, is right here. Now this should be tough. Like if I go to push on this, it really shouldn't move. I'd have to put basically all of my body weight into it to get it to shift down and move. Okay, what you'd not be able to do is take 2 fingers and bounce this like a basketball. See that? I should not be able to do that. I should be going like this and nothing's happening. But in this case, this thing bounces like a basketball, and that's how you know the shocks are bad. And I'll do this test again once we replace these shocks and show you how it's supposed to act. But yeah, so if you're wondering, well, maybe that's why my washer keeps going off balance, just come in here and use 2 fingers and or just your hand, and if you can bounce it like a basketball, it's bad. Shocks are bad. So let's get into actually starting from scratch. I'm going to walk you through how to replace these. Okay, first thing we're going to do is inspect our kit. There's a couple of different styles out there now, and we're going to see which one this is. Alright, so we're unboxing this new kit. Now this is the standard style. This is exactly what's going to be on the machine already. So if you were to measure these up, the length of the shocks need to be exactly the same. So we're going to double check that by pulling one shock out first, stand it up, and make sure it's perfect. Then the other kit I was talking about must be on the 45 part number set. It's 1 inch longer, and what you end up with is you end up with a cup like this that's 1 inch taller, and it compensates. So on this particular swap, all we have to do is take the old shocks out, put the new shocks in. And if these pieces on the old ones are still in really good shape, I won't even swap those out. However, if they look like there's any wear on them at all, then we'll swap these out too. But sometimes the older plastic is better than this new plastic that they send. So depending on how it looks when we get in there, may keep them, may replace them. I don't know, we'll check that in just a minute. Alright, so we're going to get started here, and essentially what you need to do, if you're working on your own machine, you want to make sure that you turn off the machine or unplug it and turn the water off. And if you're careful on the back, you won't have to worry about messing up your hoses. But what you have to do first is you need a 1/4. You can use a socket, or in this case I've got a nut driver. It's a 1/4, and we're going to take out, make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can see it. So we're going to take out this screw, this one, this little cover comes right off, and then we need this one over here. Those are the only 3 screws we need to take off. Now, if you have to remove your drain hose, I suggest strapping it or rubber banding it or bungeeing it to your power cord. That way you don't forget to put this back in place, the drain hose. It's actually pretty common for people to pull that out and forget to put it back, and they flood their laundry room. Okay, so now with those 3 screws out, we're going to turn this back around. And we're going to be able to work on it from here. Let's make sure you got a good view. Okay, now the trick to getting this off, it won't just come off. Okay, you have to slide it towards yourself, pick up, and push back. Okay? One more time. Once you take those screws out, it will not lift up. You pull towards yourself, up, and push back. And then it lifts straight up. This is where you'd want to be careful if you had your hoses hooked up, that you don't pinch or slice your hoses. If you have good hoses, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But now you can see on this here, check this out. Here's another sign that your shocks are definitely the issue, and this is banging around. So this is broken. Now what you want to make sure is that it's not broken beyond this little ridge right here, because this is a seal, and when it spins, water comes up and can even come back inside. If this is broken here, then water can flow outside of it. Okay, if your washing machine has a really bad off balance and you notice it's also leaking, it's probably just throwing the water out, up and over, or this plastic could be broken. So you just want to inspect it. And so this one has got some damage, but that's just cosmetic. As long as it doesn't go beyond this little barrier right here, then you know it doesn't really matter. It may not look that great. So I might clean that up with a razor blade and sand it down, just make it look smooth. I'm also going to clean all of this while it's in here. But from here now, there's plenty of room to work right in here. Some of the other machines, this is a lot bigger and it almost takes up this entire space. You can use a flathead screwdriver, pull these little prongs out here. So the screwdriver goes in and you're holding the screwdriver down here. You just pop, there's one here, 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 and here, and then this just pops off. That will give you room to get in here. Now there's plenty of room on this one, I don't need to do that. But some of the other Whirlpool ones, the little bit bigger ones with the full gray console, this is almost impossible to get into, and it's almost flush with this. So if that's your washer, just pop this whole assembly off. It just comes off. You clean that too while you got it off. Then your hand will fit down in here, no problem. Because what we need to do now is we need to remove these shocks. Now if I have you look down in here, sometimes if you see a little slit down there by where the shock goes in, then you're lucky and you can just undo it up here and push it out the bottom. This is not the case on this one. We actually have to unhook this one, tilt the machine over. Now I used to try to do 2 at a time or all at a time by hooking these up here. I don't do any of that anymore. It ends up being faster just doing 1 at a time. So we're also going to make sure that this is the right length too. So let me grab my tripod again and show you how we're going to do this. Okay. Just going to lift this up and we're going to turn this out. And now this, that just falls down and this is going to kind of hang like that. Now check this out. Remember how I said we're going to make sure it's not damaged? There's a little wear on that side, but there's no wear on this side. So instead of having that wire come up and over to this side, I can turn it and put it on this side. This plastic is better than the new stuff, so we're going to reuse this. We're going to reuse that. There's no damage to this. This side is perfectly fine. So I'm going to put that right back in place. We're going to leave it. We're just going to go ahead and close this like that. Pull you back over here. Okay, now all I'm going to do now, just push the machine up and reach under here and grab this old shock. Now we want to make sure the old one and the new one are the exact same size, and they are. So if I set it on the ground, these come up and they are perfectly the exact same size. Now we're just going to repeat the step we did a second ago with the new one. And all you want to do is make sure, remember there's a hole about right here on the inside that we have to fish this up through. So when I tilt it over this time, I can do it by feel, by now I've done it so many times, but you might have to look up in there and make sure it's going through the hole. And I just allow it to go through the hole and I set it up on the ground like that. I just tilt the machine down. Because now we're just going to grab it from the top. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to pull this back, and here it is right here for us. Lift it up. It's going to come right up through the hole. Now this time when I clip this in, we're going to turn it the opposite direction. Okay, and it is perfectly in place now. See, it's on the new side, not the used side. We're in just like that. Everything's flush, and that's one down. Okay, now we're literally just going to do that for the remaining 3 sides. There's nothing special about the other 3 sides. Sometimes on the little bit bigger capacity, for whatever reason, they have this rod come up in between these hoses. Just make sure whatever you do while you're doing this, you don't accidentally pull this off. Okay, this is the pressure switch hose. Tells your washing machine when this is full of water. If you knock that off of there, your machine's gonna overflow and flood your house. Okay, so just be sure to steer clear of this and don't push up against any of these wires. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. We'll just go ahead and do the other 3 sides. Okay, now all 4 shocks have been replaced. Now, if you got a bad pair of shocks, then we would repeat the push test and it would bounce all over the place. Then your shocks are bad out of the box, send them back and try a different pair. Okay, but in this case, I think we're going to be all right. We're going to push. It is extremely stiff. There's no bounce to that. You see there? And I'm pushing with all of my might here, and it's not moving. This is how it should be. So this is a good set. I'll try to find the link for this exact set here for this particular washer and link it from this seller on Amazon, because this is an excellent set. It's going to last a long time. And it's as easy as that. I'll come back through and clean this up and all that, but let me show you how to quickly put it back together so that you are rocking and rolling. Because sometimes closing this can be kind of a pain. All you have to do, so I'm kind of pushing back as I bring this down. I'm pushing back so everything seems to be even. However, we need to reverse the steps. So now I need to pull forward, and you'll feel it drop down the rest of the way. Then you push back to lock it in place. Okay, so the same way we pull forward, up, and back to release it. We're going to drop down. We're going to pull forward, drops down, push back. Now we're locked in. You can see it is flush here. There should not be a gap. We're going to turn this back around. All we're going to do now is make sure you can still see what I'm doing. We're going to put our screws back in place. Here. Forget to put this guy back. Okay, and now because these are strapped together and you have to plug it back in, you're not going to forget to put your drain hose back in place. So, good to go. And that is how you replace the shocks on a Whirlpool, Amana, some of the older Kenmores, and a few of the other ones that look like this style here. That's how you do it. It's fairly easy. Just about anybody can do it. Thanks guys for watching my video. If you found this information useful, helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll make sure everybody can do this little trick, because these shocks cost about, I think they're about 30 bucks. So for 30 bucks, you're good to go. Thanks. You guys have a great day.